That after your data acquisition and you've obtained your files, how do we begin to rename those files to have the correct file format to import into LipidMatch Flow? So if we look at our data files, we should have negative and positive polarity, for example, or single polarity. If we have both polarities, it's important that the sample names are exactly the same in negative and positive polarity if you want those data files to be combined so that your polarities are combined into a single feature table. Now that you have your files, make sure that you've unzipped and brought out of that zipped folder the LipidMatch renaming software and click the lipidmatch_rename.exe, which will open up the interface. Make sure to click Retain Original File Name. Now, start with a single polarity. For example, let's start with negative polarity data. And we can start with the MS2 files. So you know which files contain your auto MSMS data or data dependent. And so you'll drag those on. Note that, for example, if I had a longer file name, let's just call this Red Cross Plasma. You know that's not what it is. And then we dragged it on. It would say that it cannot be over 13 characters long. So make sure for your MSMS files you just reduce them to 13 characters or less. Then for your blanks, import those, and these can be as long as you want in terms of characters. Target. The target's going to be a reference file or the pooled sample that we discussed earlier that is representative of the sample grouping. So in this case, since we have all QCs we're running, we can just take one, drag it on as our representative sample. Note that if you drag over each different icon, you can get some information that helps you as well. All ion fragmentation is optional and only works for thermo samples. So now we used the QC1 as our representative sample, so we'll use QC2 or 3. So again, and now we'll browse where do we want to save it, so we choose our output directory, which should be empty. You can include a project name which would be appended to all files if you would like. And remember that retain original file name should be selected if you want the original file name to be retained. And then you can click rename files, and then it will run. And then you can remove the files and click positive, or better yet, close the program, reopen it, select positive, retain original file name, and again, add your samples. You can also include group names if you'd like, and then you'd have to again open the application every time you're going to create new groups, or remove a group and add a new group name. So then click rename files. After you click rename files, they'll start generating the new files in the output folder. And so for brevity's sake, we've already ran it. It takes about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, depending on the number of samples. And here we ran twice separately in negative and positive polarity. And you can see the file naming format, which you don't have to know if you're using this software, but in case you wanted to do it manually, negative files have to end in _neg. If they're data dependent, they have to have ddms2 in the file name. Samples have sample _pos or _neg, depending on their polarity. Same thing for blanks, blank _neg, blank _pos, and targets, same thing. And so those will be all the files that you'll need to run. And in addition, if you ever want to trace back to what the original file name was that you uploaded into the software, in case there's any differences. You can double click and it'll show you the original directory and the file name and your renamed file including its directory. Now that you've renamed your files, you can actually go ahead and just run LipidMatch Flow, which is one of the simplest portions of the workflow.